Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Pokemon, the podcast where we talk about everything and anything Pokemon. And we have 2 months worth of information to catch up on. Although not as much as probably in retrospect, it's just new Pokemon really to talk about. As far as gameplay goes, not a lot to elaborate on. Because in the time that we've talked about since the last Scarlet and Violet news, and if I'm not mistaken, that was when Cerulege and, oh my gosh, I already forgot the other Pokemon's name. Cerulege and something double A. I don't know. It's the one with the cannon, right? Cerulege is the one with the swords. You got Proto Man or whatever. That was the last time we talked about Scarlet and Violet, if I'm not mistaken. Since then, we've had a 14-minute trailer, more of like a gameplay overview, where they actually kind of go a little bit more in depth with the actual 3 stories and kind of show us a couple of new features, especially, actually also a brand new one, the picnic stuff. And then we also had a new Pokemon announcement, which also showed off a new gym leader. And then what else did we have? We had just recently a Pokemon Go crossover sort of teaser for a new Pokemon. I feel like there's something else that I'm missing, but I'm just going to kind of use the website a little bit here to kind of guide me through. And it's kind of weird that I would do a recording now. I mean, I have the time, sort of, so to speak, to record now. But what's weird about it is that there was another, like, sort of teaser that a Twitter post from Pokemon Company saying, hey, you got another trailer coming your way tomorrow, and you don't want to miss out on this one, which to me, I'm assuming that they are just going to probably reveal what the types are for the legendaries, because I'm pretty sure they normally give us what the typings are, and then they'll probably give us the starter evolutions. Leaks are a thing. Leaks are out there. I don't actively pursue leaks. If leaks happen to come across my, Twitter feed, I may glance at them. This one, I'm trying to stay away from it, although the evolution starters really intrigue me, which is what's making me think that tomorrow's trailer, or the trailer that already passed, depending on when you're listening to this, is basically the starter evolutions. In, I guess, the past couple games, Arceus, they didn't give us the evolutions until like the actual day of. And for Sword and Shield, it was cutting it really close. I almost want to say that it was the same situation. They didn't show us until the day of, but maybe a week out. I don't know. It was, I just remember it not being like a long interval of time in between when they showed us the evolution stars and when the game actually released. So I wouldn't be surprised if they showed us starter evolutions, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they did not show us starter evolutions, just to kind of hold off on that. But, I don't want to promote leaks. I don't normally. It's hard to kind of avoid them. They are out there. Some accounts are trying to be really sneaky about it, because I guess Nintendo did an aggressive sort of a cease and desist, but not exactly. They kind of just warned a lot of these accounts, be like, hey, if you do any of these leak, the videos or whatever, we'll have to go after you legally or something like that. Which, to be fair, after the whole fiasco of Sword and Shield, they have every right to. Which then also comes the question, and my mind's really scattered at this point. Is there not a strategy guide for this game? Because I haven't seen any sort of promotion. I could have sworn that when Sword and Shield came up, there was at least some sort of listing for a strategy guide or a Pokedex guide of some kind. But I have not seen one for this game yet. And they could just be very well off holding off until, January, February, when the game is fully out. It's had its time. People have beaten the main story, one of the main stories, if not all 3, and then be like, okay, now we have a guide, which probably would have been helpful a while back. But I don't know. They're doing things a lot differently. I mean, for instance, we have the Pokemon reveal stuff has been a lot different this year than it has in the past, which has been kind of. It's been, like I said, a busy couple of months. I did not expect to have so many little teasers or announcements. And it's not like it's an overload. It's just, I guess the the announcement, for the announcement kind of situation, like the belly bolt situation where you had the teaser drop, but it was just for a gym leader who was doing some sort of trivia thing, and then announcing, hey, we'll reveal what the trailer is the next day. And then you got that one, and then you got like a couple more videos about it afterwards, and it kind of feels just dragged out. I think that's what it is. It's not so much of like a lot of overwhelming information, but it's just kind of like, here is something to tide you until the next week, or the a couple weeks after, when we do the next reveal of some kind. So that's just what it's been like for the past couple of months. I don't even remember, actually, to be honest with you, if we even talked about Grafii. I want to say that came right after the whole Cerulege thing, but again, I could be completely wrong. Not that anything against Grafii. It's a neat little Pokemon. It's sort of like the Smeargle of this generation. It has like this sort of painter graffiti style to it, where it uses its finger to create the paint, or to paint the trees or whatever, to make the markings. But it doesn't, I don't know. Is it dark grass? Did we even reveal the typing? I'm not even like 100% completely up to par with all that stuff. I'm trying to like stay as clear-minded, as leak-free as possible with these games, just because I'm really excited for them. I really want to experience them firsthand and have like a bit of a wow factor when it comes to it. It's a poison normal type. Okay, so I'm on the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet website. It's a poison normal type. That makes more sense. Its eyes weird me out though. Like, yeah, I know what animal it's based off of, but it's just, I don't know. I think the design is a little too excessive with the hands. I think it's just the hands. It's weird that it's got like these 3 claws. The, so to speak, middle finger is the long extended one that's kind of oozing with probably poison. The rest of it's fine. Eyes, again, still though kind of bug me out because they're just a little bit too big. But this is probably not a Pokemon I'm going to keep on my team. I'm not much for poison types. Nothing against them per se, but I've never found a lot of poison Pokemon to be like super charming. Maybe the closest thing would probably be Galarian Weezing, just because it's got a top hat, and who doesn't love a top hat? Otherwise, yeah, I can't think of other poison Pokemon. The only reason I would say maybe Scolipede is because of Pokemon Masters. Crobat, I could go for Crobat. Crobat's awesome. It's definitely one of my favorite Pokemon. Ariados, I'm okay with it, just again because of Pokemon Masters. Yeah, poison Pokemon, I don't know, there's not a lot of great representation, but maybe when I actually play the game and I get Grafii, might change my mind. I don't know. Then we get, I guess we can talk about the 14-minute trailer though, which again, sorry, not a trailer, more of like a gameplay presentation. In fact, it was very similar, if not the exact same stuff that just recently they had a whole bunch of, these game journalists and these influencers kind of go out to Nintendo, I believe, New York, and try out an hour of the game. And they were told, they could do whatever they wanted within a certain boundary, within that certain time frame. And they got to do terror raids and stuff like that. But what they got to do was stuff that we were shown in the gameplay overview. So they delved a little bit more into like the Titan Pokemon, which Cloth, it seems like there's no level attached to these Titans. Whether or not that's any indication of a level scaling of some kind, maybe not. It kind of does question though, why would they leave out a level of it? Because I guess the influencers did ask, like, do these have levels to them? And I think the rep said no. So it's interesting that they would apply it to the Titans and maybe not necessarily the gym leaders, because I think in one of the recent videos as well, we did see that their gym leader Pokemon did have a level. And so that part may not have necessarily be a representation of level scaling for gyms, because again, you want to try to keep the game simplistic and as close to the original model of your game as possible, so that way you don't detract your not your hardcore fan base, but your your returning fan base, like your loyal fan base that really like the whole, hey, I'm just going to go 8 gyms, beat the Elite Four, and then call it a day. I don't think you want to change too much of that formula, which is why they're kind of experimenting with these stories, or these 3 sort of branched paths. But I mean, as far as Titan Pokemon goes, that was it. They didn't really show anything new and exciting other than here's Cloth, and it takes a little while to beat him, and then that's it. And then he runs off, and then you don't really get to find out what happens after that. Then they showed more of the Team Yell, and people are going crazy over whether or not that car is a Pokemon or not. They wouldn't reveal that. They still haven't revealed it. These influencers, game journalists, are not allowed to reveal exactly what happens after you defeat Torkoal. It's still a mystery. What is kind of interesting, you have to beat 30 of their Pokemon when you enter a base. And you kind of, I guess, send out 3 Pokemon, 1 to 3 Pokemon to battle against them using the quote-unquote Let's Go feature, which I'll talk about in a second. And then you just keep knocking out the Pokemon until 30 is gone, and then you get to battle the boss. Again, nothing, like no wow factor. It's just really a intro of, here's a new concept we want you to adventure with. Hopefully you have fun on your journey there. And I've said this before, I don't know if that particular branch path is going to be compelling enough for someone to choose that over the traditional gym path. Because if you have an open world and you have these 3 stories, I would assume that you want to try to convince people to explore all 3. But already in my mind, I just don't see, the value or the excitement behind let me go invade a base, defeat 30 Pokemon, take out the boss, and then move on to the next base. Again, it's new though, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it when I actually play it out. Hopefully the whole car thing, whatever it is actually worth it, and they do something different in every base other than just change the typing. And we don't even know how many bases there are either. So yeah, again, not a whole lot revealed there. Really, the new part was just kind of showing off that you like how you battle these 30 Pokemon. Then what else did they show in there? They showed more of the gym leader path, the gym path. It's still your typical, you defeat 8 gym leaders, you get your badges, you go to the finals, the tournament, so to speak, the Elite Four, whatever. Each gym has a puzzle to it. They showed off the grass one being that you have to find you have to find like 10 Sunflora, and again, it's the same old. Like in every Pokemon game, I don't think there hasn't been a single Pokemon game that doesn't have some sort of like trick, trial, challenge of some kind before you battle a gym leader. So again, this is not so surprising. Hence why I sound so not disappointed per se, but just kind of mediocre, bland, sort of unimpressed, because there's still nothing yet that has wowed me about like, oh, I can't wait to do this particular path. And I'm talking specifically the stories. Everything else surrounding the stories, the look to the game, the Pokemon, the variety of Pokemon that there are, the free roaming exploration that you can do with your legendary Pokemon, like all of that looks fantastic. That is what I'm like looking forward to the most. It's the story where it hasn't always been Pokemon's strongest point that is kind of leaving me to be tempered. I think that's the right word I'm looking for here. Like not overexcited, but not super disappointed either, because I'm not expecting a whole lot out of these stories. I'm hoping I'm wrong and that these stories really wow me and that they have some sort of culmination point to them where they all lead to something fantastic. But I won't know. I don't know, and they haven't revealed too much of it, and maybe for good reason too, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing when you get review copies, or people get their hands in the game early, or even when they try to like hack the game, or get these leaks or whatever, they sort of like make their own judgment, and that that first impression starts a chain reaction of like other people that kind of share the same sentiment, even though they never even touched the game. And they're like, man, yeah, this guy's got like 20,000 likes on his opinion, so I agree with his opinion. And so that's, I don't know, I that kind of kills the mood sometimes for a game. And I don't want to like, I don't want to fall too much into a hype, and I also don't want to like be super negative when that opinion comes out about certain games. I don't know. It's just like a weird time when it comes to these things. I play Pokemon for the collectability aspect of it, of being able to catch all the Pokemon, complete the Pokedex, get my prizes, get my rewards, and just battle Pokemon for fun, learn about the new typings, learn about new moves. That's what I'm all in for. So it's not like the stories are, grabbing my attention here. It's just the overall feel and look and gameplay of the game itself. But the biggest thing that came out of that was probably the picnic stuff, because that was something I don't think anyone, I guess you could have guessed it, right? We had curry in Sword and Shield, so there had to be some sort of like mini game or something of that extent. This one, you get to make sandwiches, of all things, just sandwiches. I guess you buy your meat, your vegetables, all your ingredients at a store. You go have a picnic, and then you have to put together a sandwich. And just like the curry, there's an animation at the end of like showing all your Pokemon and you eating a sandwich, and then you get a rating for it. It's a one way of like boosting friendship. In the video, they showed off that it kind of boosts your not catch rate, but the type of Pokemon that shows up. So like if you got a grass boost, then more grass Pokemon will show up. You also, I guess there's one for XP bonus. There's probably more, a bigger variety of kinds that we haven't seen yet. So it'll be interesting kind of go through that. Sandwich making seems like a lot easier than curry making. I was never good at making curry, which is why I never bothered to go for the 150 recipes, 151 recipes, whatever it is. But sandwich seems pretty straightforward, seems pretty easy. Might just try to complete the sandwich. Hopefully there's sandwich decks if one such exists. And then you also get eggs, which was like very vague. They didn't really say anything about it other than you might find a typical egg, and that's it. And it doesn't like clarify what could be in the egg or even what possibility it could be. I had this sort of theory or kind of inkling that they would treat eggs similar to what they would do in Pokemon Go. So like depending on what Pokemon you bring in the picnic, it determines then the set of Pokemon that you could get. And then there's a probability of like, getting this level of Pokemon or these level of Pokemon. So like in Pokemon Go, when you look at an egg, like the starters are usually like, I don't know, 1 tier. Then like you have other Pokemon that are 2 tier, and then the rarer ones are 3 tier, something like that. I almost have a feeling like it's the same thing here. I don't know. That's just an assumption. That's just a theory. That's just me kind of coming up with a crazy idea for it. I hope not, but they haven't clarified. So maybe in tomorrow's trailer, they'll actually say something about it. And you also get to clean your Pokemon. I guess they're bringing back the Poke-Ami, whatever feature it was. Was it Poke-Ami? From Sun and Moon? X and Y, I think, also had it too. But yeah, you just get to like pet your Pokemon. You get to scrub them down, clean them, because they'll get dirty when they go battle other Pokemon. And they also showed off some photo mode features, now that I remember that too. So beyond the picnic stuff, because that was pretty much it, they did show off photo mode stuff, which almost every game at this point has like photo mode. And I guess it kind of makes sense for Pokemon. People do love taking AR photos with Pokemon Go, so they probably thought to bring back that same concept into the actual Pokemon game. They kind of had it with Sun and Moon. Did they have it for Sword and Shield? I don't remember a photo mode for Sword and Shield. But with Sun and Moon, like you had those little cameras, those Rotom cameras or whatever you had to go to, and then you take a picture of the Pokemon, and then you get points for those. So it's probably, they're thinking, oh, maybe that was sort of popular, so let's bring it here. And people just love photo mode in general. So I can see photo mode being in use a lot, especially if it has like different filters, different stickers, like all these different things that you can add on it, and to make the picture better or make it more artistic or whatever it is. I think photo mode, if they do it right, will definitely get heavily used, because now you get to, do a Pokemon characters, creatures. And I think that was pretty much the gist of the gameplay overview. I'm sorry, one of the bigger things, probably the only really exciting thing, to be honest with, for me at least, was they showed off an evolution for Girafarig, which you didn't think they could do the name right twice for this kind of Pokemon, but they did. Girafarig evolves into a Pokemon called Farigiraf, and I'm pretty sure it's Farigiraf, but basically its tail has now become like its hoodie. It's like it's eating the actual Girafarig's head. There's no tail anymore. The spikes on its neck are a little bit more pronounced. It looks just a little crazier than your typical Girafarig. And what's disappointing though is that it keeps its normal psychic, which there could have been like a really good possibility and opportunity here to make it dark psychic. But overall the design looks great. I dig that the evolution itself, when they showed Girafarig evolving, it was just evolving right there, like in the actual scenery of the game. It didn't go to another screen where all of a sudden you got a blue background, you got this really weird metamorphosis thing going on, or like Arceus where you had the wrapping around the Pokemon and it just breaks open. It just legitimately just evolves right then and there, which is kind of neat. I guess I don't know what the decision was behind it. And I'm glad they're trying that out, because I rather kind of just see it like that, like in the open, as opposed to like having this like transition or this animation. It probably also saved them time, and maybe some I don't know, a way for them to incorporate maybe more features, because this was less time or less coding to develop, because it's not like they have to code in a whole different background, a whole different thing. It's like, no, we just got to change the Pokemon, and then that's pretty much it. But yeah, Girafarig, Farigiraf, pretty cool Pokemon. May consider putting it on my team just because it's a psychic type, but again, we have not seen all the Pokemon. After that, we did get that Belly Bolt situation, where there was a announcement of a gym leader and a new Pokemon appearing, but then the first video was just really the gym leader, and then they showed off the actual Pokemon in the day after, which is an electric type. Let me make sure I get this correct as well. Belly Bolt is just straight electric. It's very much reminds me of like Poliwag. So I could see this being a whole new kind of like Poliwag like evolution line. There could be a Poliwhirl, Poliwrath kind of thing to it. Although I'm led to believe that this might be just a middle evolution. It's a fairly big Pokemon. 3'11", I guess. I don't know. I can see it being a middle evolution, and then there being like a pre-evolve form, and then like getting a final evolution to it. Maybe probably getting a secondary typing. But this Pokemon's not that bad. Its eyes are a little weird, because its eyes are not the little round things on the side. It's the little yellow, like hollow emptiness right in the front of it. With a really creepy smile sometimes, depending on what angle you're looking at this Pokemon. But yeah, that was the new electric Pokemon that they decided to show off here. And then we also got... Are we at the... No, we're not at the Pokemon Go yet, because we got an announcement for a Ghost-type Pokemon. Because, of course, for Halloween, they had to tie it in somehow. So they showed off a Ghost Dog by the name of Greavard. Video was very much like the Hisuian Zorua video, where you had like this sort of found footage of this person kind of like looking for a particular thing, or looking for just something in general, and then they come across Greavard. Greavard plays fetch or whatever with this person, but the person ends up fainting. We're just going to leave it at that, fainting. And then they gave us a little showcase of Greavard and its attacks. It is just a ghost type. However, it does have physical attacks, mostly bite. Probably will also get crunch. Probably will have access to maybe Fire Fang or Ice Fang or whatever. So I can see this being a ghost physical attacker, which would be pretty cool. I dig the whole design. I'm okay with the jawline. A lot of people are having problems with the jawline. I don't know why. I think it fits the Pokemon. Like I said, the design is great. The Litwick reminiscence on the top of its head, that part is a little off-putting. If it wasn't so pronounced, if it wasn't so tall, the little candle on there, maybe I dig it a little bit more, but we'll see what it evolves into. This has to evolve. Like, I don't see this sticking as just its own Pokemon right here. It's a very small Pokemon. It's only 2 feet. It's 77 pounds. It'll definitely evolve. Maybe gain a secondary type of being dark. We'll see. Then we recently get a Pokemon Go crossover. Because, Pokemon has got to definitely do some cross promotion, as they always do. I mean, we had Meltan for Sword and Shield in Pokemon Go. Was that for Sword and Shield? Does it technically count for Sword and Shield, or was it more for Sun and Moon? I think there was still a whole debate about that. But we get a Pokemon called Gimmighoul, which was kind of weird. I guess after the whole Dragonite, the Dratini Classic Community Day, the Pokestops turned yellow, gold, so to speak. You spin it, you get a coin. There was a website that was launched as when this happened, and it was collecting coins. It showed a chest. It opened the chest, showed you the back of it. You could zoom in and see the coins stacking up in it. And then there was this little creature that would follow you in Pokemon Go that kind of looked like, I don't know, like a skinnier Meltan with some glass. Like, if Meltan and Clement were to fuse together, I feel like that is how you would see Gimmighoul. But yeah, it would, in Pokemon Go, would free roam. But then there was like this whole promotional video or whatever, with Professor Jacques and Professor Willow saying, but over here in Paldea, all the Gimmighoul are in chests and they never move and they always lure people into bringing coins for them. Hence, there's a whole story of 1,000 coins reveals this Pokemon or something like that, or it wants 1,000 coins. And they had a cool video of this sort of story of ghosts, this whole ghost tale, so to speak, of this Pokemon luring this individual. I think it was a little girl bringing coins all the time, and eventually doesn't remember why they kept bringing a coin, which is kind of creepy but kind of cool at the same time. Would it fit probably a little bit better if we were closer to Halloween? I know we just shortly passed it, but still, the timing could have been a little bit sooner. But yeah, in Pokemon Go, you can get the roaming form somehow. We don't know what that's like yet. They are going to do some sort of cross promotion where it's going to link directly to Scarlet and Violet, and it will activate, I'm sure, or trigger something that, in Pokemon Go, you can now get or catch roaming form Gimmighoul. In Sword and Shield, in Scarlet and Violet, you'll get to catch the chest form Gimmighoul. Both are pretty cool. I think even the little bug-ish design, although it could be more of a radar detector because of the antennas on its head, a metal detector, sorry. I think it's neat. I think it's cool. I actually probably, this out of all the reveals, probably one of my favorite ones. Probably also because it was a little bit more mysterious and sort of fun to figure this one out than all the other Pokemon were. Because it was in Pokemon Go, I initially thought, is this the next mythical? Because Meltan technically is a mythical Pokemon that was in Pokemon Go. But if you can catch these things, whether rare or not, in Scarlet and Violet, then they're obviously not mythical. It's just you get to catch a different form in a different Pokemon game. I know for Spiritomb was not necessarily rare per se, but you had to catch all the wisps and then you could face Spiritomb. But once you did the mass outbreaks or whatever, you could run into outbreaks of Spiritomb. And so that kind of ruined the rarity, so to speak, of Spiritomb. And the fact that you can catch these in chest forms in Scarlet and Violet, I definitely don't think, this is obviously not a mythical Pokemon of any kind. But it's kind of neat that they're doing this for just a sort of, not random Pokemon, but just, a not yet popular Pokemon. They're just kind of taking their chances on it, thinking that people would definitely want to try to go for both forms of this Pokemon here. And then, if I'm not mistaken, that's it. Like, that's literally everything they announced. Did we talk about Wiglet? Wiglet, weird Pokemon. I don't know really what to make of it. I know it's supposed to be based off of Gardevoir. It looks just way too much like a Diglett for my taste. Not sure how I exactly, favor it in any way. It might just be very heavily based on what the evolution of it's like. If assuming that it has an evolution, it's not a Paldean Diglett. It's a completely different new species. I know a lot of people, rumors, leaks, whatever, talking about convergence evolution, which I feel like has kind of existed beforehand already in Pokemon, but they're just kind of giving it a label, at least the fan base is. I don't think Pokemon themselves have given it that label. It's just, it's a little odd. Just a little odd. I have no comment really. I just want to see what it evolves into, and then I'll just go from there. So that is it. That is all the Scarlet and Violet stuff wrapped up in a nutshell before tomorrow's presentation. Again, I really think tomorrow is just the starter evolutions and the legendary typings. I think we did already bring up a couple more things they could go into. Maybe they'll reveal about the car. Probably just reveal maybe more Pokemon. Maybe give us a little bit insight into the post game, assuming there is a post game. Maybe some sort of like battle tower or some kind like that. I don't know what else they would want to show, because tomorrow, right? I mean, we're basically 2 weeks away from the game. Not this Friday, but the next Friday, the game is out. So I don't know what, like, this is like the last hurrah. I don't see them showing off another trailer until the very day of, and that would just be like, this is like the best of what you're gonna, like, what you've seen so far, and we're gonna re-hype you into the game again. I think this is it. This has got to be like the last, last ditch effort of, okay, if we haven't grabbed your attention yet, if nothing of this has sold you, here's what else we've got for you. And so I expect this to be longer than just 3 minutes, but probably not as long as 10 minutes. And it's going to be probably full of a lot of information that you can break down, and it'll be enough to tide you over. I kind of hope I'm wrong, though, that we get another trailer next week. But again, we're very close. So this could very well be it. Everyone get your pre-orders in and wait till you play the game. Or if you want to watch the leagues, that's up to you. But that is where we at right now with Scarlet and Violet. And the next one I record will, again, be about Scarlet. It's going to be Scarlet and Violet until the rest of the year. Let's just be real here, because I don't even know how I'm going to play the game and record episodes like for it without spoiling too much. I obviously will give probably a first impressions video sometime the week after the game comes out. I don't know how long it's going to take to beat. Usually if there's an 8 gym leader story, then it's kind of short, quick, straight to the point. You're done in like a day, 2 days tops. But we got 3 different stories. And for me, because I am such a completionist, I can see myself advancing the stories equally, right? I do a gym, I go do a boss, a Titan, I go do a team star boss, and then I repeat the process. Go beat a gym, go beat another Titan, go beat, another team star boss. I don't know. I honestly, everything's up in the air. Everything's random. It's really hard to predict exactly how one can progress in the actual map. In the, what was it? Not the Gimme Goal trailer. They showed off like this really cool sort of abandoned, broken down, not castle, but just like building where, around the walls there was a chest there. I'm wondering if there's like actual, if those are always going to just be Pokemon, or are you going to find like random chests like to open up for items, like how you have random Pokeballs all over the place to pick up an item. I wonder if that's the same thing here with chests. It seems like there's a lot more to explore here. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around the size of the map. I know, listening to another podcast, they mentioned how vast the map is, and that it makes Legends Arceus look extremely tiny. It's a very subjective. So all we can do is just wait until we actually play the game itself. That's where we are. That's where we're going to go with. I'm looking forward to what the trailer brings tomorrow. Crossing my fingers for Starter Evolutions. We'll see. I did get my Scarlet and Violet console, the OLED Switch. That thing is beautiful. The colors are popping. It's so pretty, and it's so worth it. The extra $10, I think, just came from like the fact of like how much work goes into detail of all the images, but it's such a nicely packaged console. The box looks like it, a lot of, not a lot of effort, but some effort went into it rather than just producing like a very generic box. And the console itself, like I said, it looks sweet. It looks so nice. I hope they continue to make more so people have more of an opportunity to get it, assuming that they, like Pokemon that much, or maybe you're really into Scarlet and Violet and they're like, oh man, I want to pick up that console. I know it's sold out, I think, if not everywhere, but in most places. So it might be kind of tough to get one. But if you find one, I highly suggest you get it, especially if you haven't gotten an OLED. If you just have like a very generic, Gen 1, Wave 1 Switch, you might want to upgrade it to an OLED. I think it's the perfect reason to do so. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's move this along. Finishing up with, of course, the Pokedex trivia, where I read to you a mystery Pokedex entry from a mystery Pokemon that you will have to guess what it is. I will give you some hints towards it so that we can kind of not dance your head around 908 plus Pokemon, but enough to also keep it, mysterious in a way. You don't have to guess it right off the bat. Got to make it a little bit of a challenge for you. Although some of these Pokedex entries make it extremely difficult because they just flat out say, whatever the Pokemon is, or they just give away like what the defining attribute is or whatever. But this one might be interesting here. All right. Here is your Pokedex entry for this episode. It continuously sheds and grows. The tip of its head is prized as a treasure for its beauty. I'm going to repeat that again. It continuously sheds and grows. The tip of its head is prized as a treasure for its beauty. Now, this Pokemon has two forms, but we're going to stick to its original form for this one. It is a dual type. It has... I don't know how I can... It has the hidden ability Regenerator. Let's see here. It does evolve, so this is a basic form. Its other form also evolves. I wasn't sure if I wanted to add another hint to that because that also might give it away. This one's kind of a tough one, though, based off its Pokedex entry. Has the hidden ability Regenerator, is a dual type. Oh, I can tell you the other form of the Pokemon. Sure, we'll leave it at this. The other form of the Pokemon is just a monotype. I'm not going to obviously tell you what that type is, but it's a monotype. So, original form, two types. The secondary form or the other form to it, fine, I'll give it this. The regional form to it is just a monotype. Has the hidden ability Regenerator. Does evolve. I don't know what else I want to give you here. If you want weight, it's 110 pounds or 5 kilograms for the metric people. It's a height of 2 feet or 0.6 meters. And I'm going to read the Pokedex entry one last time, and then we'll just wrap it up with the answer. Here it is. The Pokedex entry, it reads as, it continuously sheds and grows. The tip of its head is prized as a treasure for its beauty. Okay. Finalize your answer. Here we go. The Pokemon of this episode is none other than number 222, Corsola. The Coral Pokemon. The Coral Pokemon. Which does have a Galarian form. Corsola again. But that evolves into oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher this already. I think it's Corsola. So Corsola, Galarian tongue twister here. Galarian Corsola evolves into Corsola, but its basic form, and this is one I should have said, the original form does not evolve. So I think there was a bit of an error on my part. I think I misspoke on that. Yes, it does evolve, but its regional form is the one that evolves. The basic does not. Either way, though, the Pokedex entry is very vague. The fact that it continues to stretch and grows, that could also apply to reptiles too. But it is a coral Pokemon. Coral does, grow very, very, very slowly. The tip of its head is prized as a treasure for its beauty. That could also apply. I mean, if you leave out the tip of its head part, that could apply to Clamperl, to Starmie, Staryu. There's a number of Pokemon that are like that. So this one was a little bit tough. All right, let's see what Bulbapedia has for any trivia on this Pokemon. There's 3 bullet points of trivia here. Corsola can be seen as a parallel to Farfetch'd in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Both of their original regions form do not evolve, and they have monotyped regional forms which can evolve once. True. At the Stow-on-Side Stadium and during the Champion Cup Finals, Alistair in Pokemon Shield uses Galarian Corsola's evolution Cursola in his team, while B in Pokemon Sword uses Galarian Farfetch's evolution Sirfetch'd in her team. Sure. I guess you can consider that trivia. Corsola is the only Generation 2 Pokemon in the Water 3 egg group, and Galarian Corsola and its evolution are the only Ghost-type Pokemon in both Water 1 and Water 3 egg groups. I really like Corsola. Again, I'm all for water types. I'm all for the marine aesthetic here. I like the coral design to it. I think they did it really, really well, especially Corsola and its whole story with Toxapex and all that. I think played off brilliantly, and the fact that it evolves into a sort of ghost coral entity, I think was a really smart move. I dig it. Corsola gets an A+ in my book. Okay, that's pretty much it. Like I said, if you're listening to this episode, most likely the other trailer has already happened, so I haven't talked about that one yet. I eventually will, depending on the context of it, maybe the weekend, or definitely sometime before the game comes out. But if it's kind of like the same old, I doubt it though, because they're trying to hype this up. They say you don't want to miss out on this one. If it's not if it's just the same old, then you probably won't hear from me until I give my first impressions of Scarlet and Violet after next Friday. And that is it. So thank you very much for listening to the entirety of this episode. If you made it this far, thank you for all those that have interacted with the Spotify questions and polls. I'm sorry I didn't bring it up in this episode. I completely forgot about those, but there will be another Spotify question and poll. So if you're listening on Spotify, if you scroll down below the show notes, you'll see the poll, you'll see the question. Hey, feel free to respond in there. I will, shout it out in the next episode. I apologize for not doing it this time. I know Kythox is one that comes to mind, that that user answered the question. I think what was it I asked? What was exciting the most about Scarlet and Violet? I think, was it Kythox? There was somebody else that was really the open world aspect idea to it, that they get to do kind of whatever adventure they wanted to. But anyway, yeah. So Spotify question poll, put it in there, and I'll try to my hardest. I'm 98% sure that I'll bring it up in the next following episode, just to kind of share out that information, kind of share again with the community. And then I don't think there's any other sort of interaction. Spotify is doing it right in there, but apparently not in the review section. I don't know. I haven't brought up reviews. Don't want to talk about reviews. If you want to leave a review, sure, go for it. Go at it. Whatever stars, whatever the things they use to rate podcast reviews, go for it. Other than that, that's all. Just rest and relax and get ready for whatever Pokemon brings our way throughout this week. Again, I think this is the last trailer. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for listening, and I will talk to you guys next time in the next episode about everything that Scarlet and Violet will bring.